another ornament without my big fat head in the way. We're going to do a real simple one. You have to excuse the droning on of my oxygen compressor. Something's beeping. I sure as shit hope it's not that camera. Yeah, you have to excuse the droning on of the oxygen compressor. I ran all of my oxygen out yesterday, and until I get my liquid tank delivered, we're gonna have to deal with it. So sadly, I can't seem to find a nirvana between camera angle with my fat head out of the way and me being able to show the me manipulating the knobs and still showing what I'm doing here. So we're not totally yeah, I don't know what that is. It sounds like my phone flicking in and out for power. I'm using a sketchy cord for my phone. Which I'm using to control the GoPro. This flame's way too hot to work this glass. Alright, so we're gonna pop the end off of this one. I'm gonna turn our fire down here. So I'm making a loop here. Now I had a little bit of sadness this morning when I opened my kiln, and we're going to address that in a second. No good. So it's not going to show up. The new exposure. So there's a little cattywampy there. That's no good. Cattywampy's got to go. That's better. That's better. All right, I'm going to actually throw this one. Whoop! Ah! Hey, hot. I'm gonna have to use a tool. This one has to go in the kiln because of the centerpiece here is real thick. If I don't put it in the kiln, it'll break, and that's actually what we're going to address real shortly here. All right, now, how do I get the color into my pieces? I understand that I have, I've gone over the vast majority of this stuff multiple times through multiple different videos, and quite frankly, kind of, not only have I gone over it multiple different times in multiple different videos, I've gone over it literally probably 500 to 1,000 times at different art and craft shows trying to explain to people that my ornaments are not painted with paint. They are all one homogeneous piece of borosilicate glass. So what I am going to do is show how I get some of the colors I get. This is actually me just right now just playing with them. Fire polishing the end of this tube here. I got a plan for this one. So what I'm doing right now is this tube had a very large, or it had a lot of junk, for the sake of argument, all around the edge where I blew out the end. And the side effect of that is, well, the effect of that is the edge is kind of skanky. So I just cleaned the edge up, and I have to throw this in the kiln. This is heavy wall. That's heavy wall. And whenever I work heavy wall, I need to make sure that it goes into the kiln, and so I can work it later. So, organization's the key to my success, kids. We're gonna do a little, oh, that's perfect. We're gonna do a little color mixing right now. So this is a piece of, I don't remember. It's about, I don't know, maybe 5/8 of an inch in diameter, maybe a half inch OD rod. Now, color is expensive. I've talked about it a lot. I know I complain a lot about money when I shoot these videos, but not for nothing. I think it needs to be discussed, especially in today's climate, today's financial climate and trade things. I mean, I don't want to get overly political, but I will, because, and I can't stress this enough, I cannot compete with some kid chained to a chair in Pakistan. I just can't do it. And if you don't like that political statement, well then, tough titties. But it's the truth. The most painful thing is the truth, and the truth is I can't compete with offshore factories that make a million of these things for pennies on the dollar. So, what am I doing here? Well, I am cleaning this rod up. Whenever you score cut rod, you end up with, I hope it shows up on, I know it's not going to show up on camera, but you end up with like this scuzz in here, and the scuzz is actually little teeny tiny micro air bubbles. I never used to care about them, but I had a whole string of stuff break, and I've mentioned it. I've mentioned it multiple times in this series of videos about how I had a whole bunch of ornaments break, an unacceptable level of breakage with my ornaments. And the reason I had that was because I, A, was rushing like a nitwit, and B, I wasn't taking, well, I was rushing. So, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Today was the easy day. I was rushing a lot to try to crank out as many ornaments as I could, as quickly as I could, so I was cutting corners. Now, one of the corners I was cutting is I was working so fast, I was boiling the glass, and I wasn't properly sealing my joints. So that turned around and bit me in the buttocks. All right, so this is a piece of clear rod. Now back to on target, or back to the discussion at hand here. This is the clear rod. I could actually go thicker with this clear rod, but I'm not going to because I don't have it right here at hand. In my right hand, I have what is called Turbo Cobalt, or Cobalt 5, which is one of the darkest blues that's available to me. It's so blue, and it is very pretty, that it's almost black. Well, the problem with that is, so when you blow it out, it's really blue. I mean, it's like, the blues are some of the oldest glass colors because they're relatively, I don't want to say they're easy to make, but they're relatively stable. So, instead of using black, you use blue. One of the side effects of that is if you have something real thin and you use what you see is what you get, blue, that's like pale, when you blow it out, it disappears. It literally thins out to a point where you can't, you don't even realize it's blue because it's so pale. So you use a really dark color blue to get what you want. Now, side effect of that is I only buy one shade of blue, really dark blue, because it's cheaper. It's a lot cheaper for me as the artist, as the guy who's got to put his own money up, to buy one shade of blue and then create multiple shades of blue from that shade of blue. They're all blue, but they're not all necessarily the same opacity. I guess opacity is the word that I'm looking for. One of the ways to make it so it's not as opaque is to thin the color, and that's what I'm doing right now. You know what? Do it this way. So I'm thinning this blue out. So I have this piece of heavy rod, or like I said, it's maybe 14 mil rod. I coated it with the Turbo Cobalt. Now I'm melting the Turbo Cobalt into my rod, onto the rod. So basically what it is it's like kind of hollow, right? So I can stretch out or lengthen the amount of color I get out of a single piece that's still relatively opaque. Now, another thing you can do, which is what I'm going to do, which I'm doing right now, is I'm heating it up, I'm melting it all in, and I'm going to case it with blue, with clear. I want to mix it all up. I never fiddled with mixing of colors until very recently, when I saw, I watched another video of a guy explaining how to do it properly. And still not doing it properly, but I am kind of getting there. The other problem with this Turbo Cobalt is it has a tendency to oxidize a little bit on the outside. I hope this is Turbo Cobalt because it's really oxidizing. I have a funny feeling this might not be what I think it is. This might actually be Blue Moon. This Blue Moon, I just made a real big mistake. No, this is Turbo Cobalt. this is something I came up with on my own, so if I'm doing something wrong, it's all on me. I didn't learn this. I taught myself this. So where is this going? Now, I need a lighter shade of blue. This cobalt is great, but it's just too dark. It's too dark for me to use for the things that I do. It all looks black. So if I take the piece of rod, coat it with blue, melt it all in, coat it again with clear, and then I'm going to heat this up a lot, and then I'm going to pull it into a stringer and we're going to see what happens. I'm hoping that I end up with a lighter shade of blue. That's the game plan here. This might be a good job for my rest. Alright. And we always wanted to know how glamorous glass blowing was. Now I'm going to have about half an hour, if not longer, of melding all this in, mixing it all up, and pulling it out. The vast majority of glass work, lamp working, is spin, 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 spin. Manipulate it for like 15 seconds. Spin, 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 spin. Manipulate it for about 15 seconds. It's a lot of repetition. It's a lot of mindless repetition. So the reason I'm doing this is I got a really neat effect out of doing this the other day. It effectively, when I pulled it out, when I pulled it into a stringer, I got a much lighter shade of blue out of it, which was really cool. So I'm getting this thing as hot as I possibly can and still keep it under my control here. Right on the edge of me losing control, which means it's just about ready to get pulled out. So we're out of the flame here, and I'm just kind of spinning it so it'll even out the heat a little bit before I pull it into a stringer. Now I'm not going to pull this into a super duper thin stringer. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull it into kind of a thin stringer, or kind of a fat stringer, because I'm going to reuse it again. I'm going to pull it into a thinner stringer. Not much thinner, just a little thinner. And then I'm going to coat another rod with it, effectively thinning it out even more. And I'm going to keep doing that for at least 3 different iterations of thinning this stuff out. And hopefully, I'm going to get a lighter color of a lighter shade of the same color, if that makes sense. Something that's, yeah, there we go. We're getting there. See, it's working exactly the way I wanted it to. Pull out a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. I'm going to heat this little booger up here. This is going to go away in a second, but I want some more of it. I've talked about, I can't not complain about the price of shit nowadays. but I do everything I can to save every little bit of color I get. I try to save it so I can create more stuff. Actually, I should try and put this on an even bigger piece. I'm going to toss this in the kiln for a second. And I'm going to prep another rod here. Oh, that is ironic. Okay. Shite. Alright. That happens. I ran out of rod. I've been using a lot of rod. Forever how frugal I've been trying to be with some of these projects, I've also decided that it's not worth burning my damn fingers using a piece of rod that's way too short. So I've been using longer rods for things, and the effect of that is I have a whole bunch of short rods laying around that need to be converted into longer rods again. The rod in my left hand is spliced 3 or 4 times. That's what I should be doing today. Alright, so I'm letting this cool down. I just joined these two. I just fused these 2 pieces together. Because I am going to... Oh, not yet. Not ready. Ah, damn it. I was hoping it would cool. I screwed myself there. I don't know if it showed up on camera, but I pulled on it. I tried to bend it to see if it was hard yet. No, it wasn't. No, now I had to reheat it. Stiff enough. Okay, so this one's got some kind of booger on it. We're gonna burn that booger in. Nobody will ever see this. Nobody's ever gonna see this clear ever. It's gonna be buried in this blue. Aha, you rot fucker. It's gonna be buried in this blue here, which I'm making. So as I was looking at this blue, I noticed that it is starting to get nice and transparent-ish, more transparent, and that's the goal here. The goal is to take what is a transparent color and make it more transparent without having to blow it out into something else. So this blue is almost black. This is also a big part of why some of this shit's really expensive. It takes you more time to make the color and to pull the stringers and to prep the part than it does to actually, assemble the piece. A lot of pipes that you see, and not just, I'm just, fuck it, a lot have to make from scratch. When I do my Christmas ornaments, I openly admit that I do them in a batch form. So what I'll do, and actually what's going to happen with some of this color, is I'll spend a day preparing all of my color, and then I'll spend another day preparing all of my points, and then I'll spend another day making the ornaments. So when people ask me, well, how long does it take to make an ornament? Well, the short answer is it takes 3 days. The longer answer is it takes about 12 minutes from start to finish, it takes about, well, no, yeah, it takes about 12 minutes, right, to make an ornament. I've timed it because I need, I got a little OCD. I need to know exactly how long it takes. I need to know exactly how much money I'm making. I need to know exactly where I have to cut corners in my production schedule to meet production. Not throwing that big Uncle Blue away. But I also don't have time to turn it into something right this second. It's just gonna get dropped right there on the bench. That'll cool off and create its own little bomb in a minute. Alright, now back into the flame. As a matter of fact, we are going to use rest for this. I'm getting old and lazy. I'm really liking this rest. I really hope that camera doesn't overheat. It's not hot. No. Camera overheated. Alright, so I don't know how much of that is caught on tape. Wonderful. Camera's too hot. Well, I don't know what I missed because my camera overheated, which I thought was going to happen. I'm actually relatively close to the camera here, or the camera is relatively close to what I'm working on. Heat rises. Oh geez, yeah. No, that might not work. I may have to readdress that. Sucks too. That was a really great angle. It was like perfect. Option 2 is to build some kind of heat shield.